The morning I was born, which was very early on a Sunday morning,
Right.
the night leading up to that, my mother had to duck gunshots
Wow.
to get into a taxi with my grandmother
Okay.
to go to Kingston Jubilee Hospital for me to be born.
You're okay now, Mr. Patterson?
I'm very good anytime you are.
This is nothing to you. It's just common.
No, I mean, I don't make it to be anything to me. I like to be ordinary. You know, this thing where you have politicians being bigger than the people,
Right.
I'm not for it.
I think that's the number one thing that grabbed me when it came to you.
Right.
I mean, I can speak here on volumes of things that I know or understand of what we're doing, but today is just the introduction of UIC, what it's about. I want to just ask you some primary things so people should know what the UIC is about. And first and foremost, who is Mr. Patterson?
It's a very good question. I mean, I'm an ordinary Jamaican. I was born here in 1971, August 2nd, Kingston, Jamaica, in a place called Blake Road, a very tough neighborhood with some very rough people. In fact, the morning I was born, which was very early on a Sunday morning,
Right.
the night leading up to that, my mother had to duck gunshots
Wow.
to get into a taxi with my grandmother
Okay.
to go to Kingston Jubilee Hospital for me to be born. And so that's the neighborhood I grew up with,
Right.
with some really tough characters. And from there, I mean, she's a single mother.
Mhm.
And if you see me tearing up, please forgive me. But
No, it's okay.
we grew up in a one-room home, about, I would say, 10 feet by 10 feet or a little bit more.
Wow.
We had no indoor bathroom. Four of us living in this one room,
Okay.
sleeping on this one bed, head to toe. My mom struggling to make ends meet, you know, eating cornmeal and chicken back when we can afford it and callaloo. So I had a pretty rough life. And when I was about 11 years old, I ran away from home to go and live with my father because I finally met him when I was about 9 years old.
Right.
And I was shocked because while my mother was living in poverty, this man was living in wealth. You know,
Oh,
he had a
okay.
very nice home, satellite dish, great, gardens, and all the things looking lovely.
Right, right.
And you know, here we were living this very menial life. So I wrote my mom a letter and say, "Mom, you have done enough. It's time for me, for my father, to pick up some of the responsibilities."
Okay.
So I went and lived with him. But I was not doing very well in school. And so my stepmom said to him one night when I was supposed to be sleeping, she said to him that, you know, Joe, we better put the guy somewhere where he can learn to do something with his hand because he's clearly not able to do much with his
Brain.
brain.
Right.
And so they enrolled me at Spanish Town Secondary.
Mhm.
And I overheard that, and it sent off a light bulb in my mind. And suddenly I changed my behavior, changed my study habits,
Right.
and I went from being at the bottom of the class to being at the top. When I left Spanish Town Secondary, I was head boy, student council president, science club founder and president, drama club president, quiz team leader, captain, the first time I won the competition for Jamaica, debating society president, and I got a scholarship to go to St. Andrew Technical High School, where I also became head boy, student council president, math club founder and president, junior achievement vice president of finance,
Tremendous.
literary club editor. In total, I passed about 13 subjects
Okay.
and got a full scholarship to UTech and became to study engineering, electrical engineering. And after studying there, by the way, I was president of the debating society 2 years running. They call it Circle K governor or no president.
Mhm.
So from there, I went on to the Sugar Company of Jamaica as a manager for instrumentation, and I prior to that taught school. I taught physics and math and engineering science at Kingston Technical High School, and then in the middle of all of this, something unique was happening. In grade 8, I met my wife, my wife to be. I didn't know yet at the time.
Oh.
And so we journeyed along. And after I finished Spanish Town, she went to Canada, and I went on to further studies here in Jamaica. And then when I finished university or college, UTech, she came back to Jamaica, and we both got married. And so we've been married now for 26 years. We have 3 children, 3 grown children now. I know I look probably a little younger than I actually am.
No, you're young.
But,
That's not problem.
you know, so through that process, you know, we grew. I started a few companies. I became a chartered professional accountant. So I'm a dual. I'm both an engineer and an accountant. And I love to call myself a social entrepreneur because all the businesses we create is always about helping people and not just profits. So we focus on 3 things: people, planet, and profit.
Okay.
So people, because we want to help people to grow. Planet, we want to protect the environment. And profit, without profit you can't get anywhere. So you have to earn, you have to produce. So we balance all of those together and you become a well-rounded person, I think.
Well, in all the points that you just put around, that's very, very rounded. I know I understand too, because there's some questions that I would normally want to ask.
Yes.
But you just have, you answer them, especially to the point when you're speaking about your background, because you have this, I would say, selflessness every time when I speak to you and when you speak about the people. Yes. And like I said, these are the things that I'm trying to get out in the interview because they wouldn't know.
Exactly.
You know, we would have that interview. Yeah. We would have had that talk. We'd have that dialogue. We'd have that personal talk. And even on my own self, that was the reason why I was very much attracted to the UIC. And as I mentioned, UIC, what is the UIC?
Sure. Well, the UIC is a unique political party and movement. And I say that with a bit of hesitation because we don't really like to call ourselves a party. Right. But the existing system in Jamaica requires you to be a political party if you're going to seek to change the nation. Right. So if you want to change the nation fundamentally, and that has to happen politically, then you have to be a political party in the system. So in December of last year, 2019, we became a registered political party, but we're more than a party, we're a movement. Right. And the purpose of our movement is to achieve some key things for Jamaicans. Right. We want to make sure that your life, your liberty, your individual liberty, and your personal property is protected, not just from the gunman and the thief, but also from the government. Okay. Right? We want to make sure that every single Jamaican can exist in a safe, a clean, and an orderly country. Right. We want to make sure that as a person, you can live your life, you can earn, and you can retire with dignity. Right now in Jamaica, all of those are up in the air. You're worried about your life. You don't have the freedom because either the government is taxing you and over-regulating you, or somebody wants to kill you and steal from you. Extortion. So extortion. So you're always in this pattern of you can't settle, you can't focus because something is pulling at you. For this interview, I'm coming from the bank. I have been there since 8:30 this morning. You and I were to meet at 1. All right. And we're now meeting somewhere after 3, 4 o'clock. Just to show you, no, we cannot have a country like that if we want to be productive.
But I can say the same thing because even while you were there, we were speaking about it. Just to let the viewers know that I'm in a limbo like that. I'm trying to get a loan and it's been going on for the last 6 to 8 weeks.
There you go.
And it's just the run around and you need to go here and the red tape and this and that. And you would think that you would get through. So I understand what you're saying. So are these the things that you would list as the core values of the UIC?
These are the core values. We want to protect the life, the liberty, and the property rights of Jamaicans. We want to make sure that every Jamaican can have a safe, clean, and orderly community, country. We want to make sure that you can live, you can earn, and you can retire in dignity and liberty. Okay. These are the core values of.
Okay, so we were just speaking about the UIC and its core values. So I would like to ask you another question. What was the driving factor? What was the situation for you to become the founder of UIC? What pushed you into that direction?
That's a very good question. The real ethos of the UIC is the fact that I have lived in a Jamaica that to me has robbed the Jamaican people of their life, of their livelihood, and of their full potential. If you live in an environment which is unsafe, it makes it hard for you to think and to plan and invest.
Right.
If you live in an environment which is unclean, it disturbs your mental faculties. You can't really enter life with the zest and vigor that you need to. And if you enter a society that is disorderly, you can't be as efficient or as productive as you want to be.
True.
And so throughout my life, I watched my mother as she struggled as a single mother. I watched the difficulties she went through, how she tried to make life for herself and her children, and how much harder that was because of how the system is designed.
Right.
I watched as they use partisan politics to divide the people, confuse the people, distract the people,
Blind the people,
while they're extracting the wealth of the people.
True.
So I know we cannot rely on the system as it is to save Jamaicans or to save Jamaica. We cannot rely on the system as it is to bring out the best in our people. And so the UIC wants to create a non-partisan Jamaica, a Jamaica where we don't look at parties anymore, we look at issues.
Right.
And there's a way to do that. And I have designed that carefully with the help of all of our team members.
Right.
We want a Jamaica which is a republic. Why should we be a country of mostly African people and the head of state is a white woman in another country?
In a foreign country, right.
This is just untenable. And to think that our leaders have allowed that to continue since independence to now, even when they negotiated the Constitution, they should never have accepted a Constitution that says the symbol of slavery is going to be the head of your country.
I question that.
The symbol of slavery is going to be the head of your country.
Right.
How could you in any good country? You know why they did it? I'll tell you why. Do you know that Marcus Garvey formed the first political party in Jamaica?
PPP.
Yes. That was a black man party.
Right.
The true black man party. The true Jamaican party that wanted to change Jamaica for all Jamaicans.
Right.
And the PNP, with the help of the Crown, helped to get rid of that party and get rid of Marcus Garvey. So you see, the two parties we have are really two parties that represent the interest of the Crown.
Right.
They represent the interest of those who have enslaved our people. And that is why, to this very day, Jamaicans are still enslaved. To this very day.
And I don't mean to cut you, but at the same point in time when you say that, just a little note, some of them don't even believe that they're enslaved.
I know. That's the best kind of slavery. You can never have a better slavery than one where the people think they're free.
I said it to a gentleman recently. We had this conversation. I was like, you realize that you're just stuck within the borders of Jamaica, and even here, you're not even free to do exactly as you'd like.
Exactly.
And like I said, like I'm just jumping in with another point. These are the things that was pointed out that really, really attracted me to sitting down and looking at the UIC. I'm like, and then I had to get to that core point where I said, no, I had to speak to this gentleman. I had to know what's going on because this must be some frivolous thing. And then when you realize that it's not, and like you say, which is one of the most effective things for me, is that it's not a party, it's a movement.
It's a movement. It's a movement of liberation.
Right.
We want to liberate the Jamaican people. We want you, the Jamaican people. I mean, I'm talking to you right now, but I'm really more interested in all of Jamaica.
Same here.
All the people who are watching this video to know that the UIC is a movement of destiny. It's our destiny to be a free people. We are not meant to be slaves. I know we have been slaves for more than 400 years. They lied to us, you know. In 1838, when they told us that slaves were free, that was a lie, because you can't be free if the white man still owned your property, and if you still weren't educated on how to live free, and if you still didn't have the assets, and you didn't have the income to be able to live. So all they did was give on us the freedom to choose our master.
Let me
in 1838, you know, all they did was to give us the freedom to choose our master.
Right.
So we were still under a master. And what it did, it freed the master from the responsibility of having to feed and clothe and shelter the slave. But the slave still had to come to the master because the master owned the land. The master had the education.
Right.
The master had the technology. The master had the tool. So we were still slaves. Right. That was 1838. Then they said to us, listen, we're going to put you under apprenticeship. apprenticeship, they said, was supposed to prepare us now to be able to be free.
Mm-hmm.
But all it was a continuation of slavery. Meaning you would go to your same slave master and say, please, master, teach me how to be free. Ridiculous. Which slave master is going to teach you how to be free? He wants you to be a slave.
Right.
And then we continue from the apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm.
Then we were under the colonial rule. And in 1944 now, they gave us what they call self-governance, meaning you are now going to govern yourself.
Right.
But with a little bit of control in the background by having a governor appointed by England who could overrule what you say.
Right.
But what they did in 1844, they divided us first into two tribes, JLP versus PNP.
Right.
And they test to see if we're going to accept that division, which we did. And we started now voting, right? But guess what our voting was about? We took our attention now off the colonial masters and focus on each other.
Right.
So now the fight wasn't against the colonial master.
It was now against
as
us.
it was prior to 1944.
Right.
It was now the fight between me and you for what scarce benefits we can get from this political system. And so now we learn to hate ourselves. We didn't hate the master anymore. We worshipped him and said, oh, wonderful queen, glad to meet you. Please do come and visit us sometime.
Right.
Let us bow down and worship you.
Right.
Let us lay out the carpet when you're coming. Let us do all the wonderful things because you are so pure and holy. In fact, you look like our God. And so we black people become the enemy of each other.
Right.
I'm the enemy of you because you are green and I am orange, red. And we're going to fight each other now instead of focusing on building our country together. So that's why the UIC has the hands coming together, because we're dismissing that division. We're now uniting. We're coming together, holding hands together, joining hands together to build a new and better Jamaica for all Jamaicans.
I'm going to be honest with you too. You're hitting some points, and like we say, we're here, and I'm trying to express some of the thoughts that came into my head. When I saw that was unique.
Yes.
When I saw the hands joining together, I have a thing that I always point out, that if people look at the flag of Jamaica, they will see that on the left and the right is black, which represent the people, and the PNP, which is the gold, is dividing the people in half, and then the JLP, which is the green, is wedging that division so we can never see.
Exactly.
So when I saw the art of the hand, I'm like,
we changed the imagery altogether.
It's like I said, and I don't want to take this for myself to ask my little personal questions, but there's another question I would like to ask though. What is the vision of the UIC?
Okay, it's beautiful. Our vision is a Jamaica that brings out the best in all Jamaicans. That's our vision. It's very simple.
Right.
If you design the country properly, and right now it isn't designed properly, the country right now is designed to bring out the worst in us.
Right.
It's designed to make us enemies of each other.
True.
It's designed to make us corrupt. It's designed to turn us into scammers. It's designed to destroy the family.
Right.
It's designed to cripple our children's minds. It's designed to sink us under debt. It's designed to have the colonial masters have full control over us. It's designed to make us tenants in our own country.
True.
And so now the UIC has a vision to turn that around. Our vision is to unite the nation. Our vision is to empower the nation, beginning with the individual. You see, some like to talk about collectivism. We believe in building the individual because a strong individual makes a strong family. When you have a strong man and a strong woman coming together to form a family, and you have strong children, you have a strong nation.
Point taken.
So the individual must be built up. He must know himself, understand himself. He must understand money, the way money really works.
That is key.
He must understand health, how to manage himself, socially, mentally, psychologically, financially. And he must also be able to build strong relationships. Relationship with his wife, with his children, with his fellow men in his community, his extended family. So we need to change even the education curriculum to move away from math and English as the most fundamental. No, it's not math and English. That's important.
Right.
But what's really important is that you know yourself. that you know how to build strong relationships, and that you understand economics, money.
Yes, money. Same thing I just said.
If you master those three things yourself, meaning your health, your social, your physical, your spiritual self, and if you master relationships, interpersonal relationships with your family members, with your spouse, with your neighbors, with your friends, and you build strong bonds and strong companies, because companies are relationships.
True.
It's partnerships. It's working with other people. One person finance, one person marketing, one person operation, one person logistics, and so on, coming together. Oh, you think Christopher Columbus came here? Columbus came here by having a corporation. A bunch of people coming together, making a plan how they're going to take over the world.
True.
And while we in Africa were simply excited that somebody come and offered us tobacco
and silk and
silk
cloth
and alcohol,
right,
in exchange for some of our fellow humans. No, wrong. We should have been aware.
Right.
We should have been knowledgeable, not to just trust strangers that come to your door, and deal with them properly.
True.
So back to what we're saying. So our vision for Jamaica is to empower all Jamaicans so that our country brings out the best. And the way to do that is to disband with the colonial model of politics,
right,
and have a non-partisan, constitutional republic where the sovereignty is resident in each individual. You are sovereign. It's not the nation that's sovereign.
You are.
It's you that's sovereign, and because you are sovereign, you join with other sovereigns to protect your borders.
Right.
It's not the Queen that's sovereign. You are sovereign. You are sovereign. You, the people, every individual, you're a sovereign entity. Nobody has the right to take your life. Nobody has the right to take your freedom, and nobody has the right to take your property, not even the government. So the government, we're going to turn it upside down. The government now must be designed to serve the people, not the people serving the government.
And I think they lose focus on that too, to understand that when I try to tell persons that, it's sad to say it, but I'm not trying to say persons are literate. But they just don't understand. When you say that, do you know that you're actually the government, and you have these ministers representing you, and they're supposed to be working for you, not you thinking that you worship them or you lord them or romanticize them with them, as I point out.
They're just employees, you know. If you have a proper system of governance, a minister, a permanent secretary, a prime minister, whoever they are, whatever the title is that you give them, they're just human beings who are employees working for you. All of us have to work. So my job and your job when we're outside of government is to produce for our family and take care of our family. We hire a government to make sure that they create a proper police service to protect us from criminals. To have a proper justice system so that if we have any disputes, we can go to the court and it's resolved amicably without us killing each other. You're to ensure we have public amenities, good roads, sidewalks, street lights, run the major construction channels for water and electricity. All those basic things, come up with laws for how you drive on the road, traffic laws and so on, so we can have an orderly environment. That's all they are. And janitors to clean up the place, make sure the road is clean and whatever. And we pay them to do that through our taxes. That's what we're supposed to do. We now go about producing and taking care of our private needs, our food, our clothes, our shelter, our education, our healthcare. The moment we buy into the ideology that we should look to politicians to do these things for us is the moment we return to slavery. Remember
where we're at.
Yeah, a slave depends on the master to tell him when to work, where to work, how to work. A slave depends on the master where to live. A slave depends on the master what food will we give you to eat. A slave depends on the master what education will be assigned to you, what will we say you can or cannot learn. A slave depends on the master what health care will I give you. So when we look to government to take care of our health and our education and decide what wages we can earn, about minimum wage, we are in effect returning to slavery.
Handing your freedom over.
We're handing our freedom. Because when I depend on you and I become your slave.
You become dependent. Yes.
And so we have to stop that. So the UIC wants to re-educate Jamaicans. We want to empower Jamaicans to put politicians and government back into their rightful place of serving the people, so that the people are free and empowered to earn and enjoy the fruits of their labor in safety and security.
Well, that wasn't a unique answer too, because you answered some questions that I wanted to ask in there by pointing out some of the areas that you think we could develop our fellow human. But you answered that. We're on the point of speaking about government, so I'm going to ask you this question now. What is the difference between the government that is now here versus the UIC model of government?
Very good question.
Right.
So in the current system of governance, you have parties vying for power, and when they win power, the winning party controls the executive branch of government. That's the Prime Minister and his ministers. The winning party controls the House of Representatives. That's those who vote on the laws, primarily, because he has the majority. And he also controls the Senate, because he appoints the entire Senate.
Right.
So the Prime Minister in the current system is the most powerful figure, but not him really, you know. Those who paid for his election, because they control him.
Thank you.
Right? So those who paid for his election, they control the party, and they control the leadership of the party, and they control the Prime Minister and the executive. Now watch me carefully. When the Prime Minister appoints, every MP, by the way, that's elected on the winning party side are wishing and hoping that they're given a ministerial portfolio, because when they do get that, it's more money and more clout and more opportunities for corruption.
True.
So they're all wishing and hoping, please, Mr. Prime Minister, appoint me as one of your ministers. Okay? Every member of the Senate are only there because the Prime Minister has appointed him.
Right.
Except for those appointed by the leader of the opposition. The Prime Minister appoints the majority of the senators. Okay? So the senators are only there because of the Prime Minister. So they're there to serve the Prime Minister. The MPs that are elected are all wishing and hoping for a ministerial position. So they're subservient to the Prime Minister. They're yes ministers. And those he does appoint as ministers, they now know that they're only there at his pleasure, because so they're there to serve him, not the people of Jamaica. The UIC changes all of that. Your MP becomes a community representative that is nominated, selected by you, and is not funded by any private funding. It's 100% publicly funded.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so anybody in the community can offer themselves, and if enough persons sign a petition and say they want that person to be on the ballot, he gets on the ballot.
I always ask that question. I don't mean to cut you, but I've always asked that. I mean, recently in the last election, persons who live in St. Mary come all the way to Westmoreland saying that, oh, and they just bring them there. So this is your representative. I'm like, excuse me? No. So who is this person? You know, and then you hear them arguing too. We don't want this person. And I'm like,
and the party gets to force a representative on the people. In the UIC system, that no longer exists. The people select their representatives, and they run. The good thing is all the candidates get the same platform. So we have a publicly funded system. No matter, once you're nominated by your community members, you get the same access to the internet, the same access to radio, same access to television, same access to the town hall meetings. And you're on the same platform. And all the citizens have to do is to check you out and decide who to vote for. No fanfare, no extra spending. We stop wasting money on massive campaigns. We now focus on the issues. So that's one big change. Your representative under the UIC comes from you, not from an outside source.
So they know exactly what is happening.
So you don't have to belong to a party anymore, because you don't get any benefit from the party. The party can't come and campaign on your behalf. It can't fund your campaign. You're being funded fully from the public purse on a very specific standard platform. So we're not wasting money either. The people want to hear in a town hall meeting from all of you, what will you do and why? The people will see you on the internet the same way they see the other person and can compare and contrast. They will hear you on the radio just like they hear the other person and can compare and contrast. Television, the same thing. So no difference. The only difference is what you bring to the table as a person, your character and your platform. Your character and your platform. That's what matters. From there now, we'll look at what happened with the Senate. Remember, the Senate now, Prime Minister and opposition leader appoints lackeys to do what they want. UIC, no. Each parish elects one senator. So your senators now become elected. They're there to look out for their parish. your MP came from among you. He understands the issues, or she live in it. So when they get elected, they represent you fully. And they're not backed by any private interest, so they're not beholden to big money, they're not beholden to a party, they're beholden to you, the people of the community.
Amazing, man.
Then your prime minister is no longer prime minister, we have a president. Currently, the prime minister is the leader of the winning party. Under our system, the president is elected by the people nationally.
Right.
We also have 3 vice presidents, 1 elected for each of the 3 counties, Cornwall, Middlesex, and Surrey.
Right.
Again, the same way, grassroots election process. So all of these people now are focused on representing the citizens. They're not beholden to big money, and they're not beholden to a party. They're beholden to the people only.
Right.
That's a big and major difference. And what that's going to do, it sets up checks and balances, because now your prime minister, or rather your president, doesn't control the House. And he doesn't control the Senate. So whatever he or she brings from the executive branch to say, here's the policies and program we want to implement, they will be scrutinized carefully by both houses.
Right.
The next big thing, which you're going to really like, is how we appoint ministers. We will not appoint politicians as ministers.
Okay.
We're going to simply go as the executive branch, which is the president and the 3 vice presidents.
Right.
We'll look at the Jamaican population and find the best candidate that can manage the environment portfolio, or the finance portfolio, or the health portfolio, or the education portfolio, and look for and then nominate them to the Senate and say, here's a man or a woman with the proper qualifications and experience to lead in this area. And the Senate will have a public hearing where they interview them, look at their credentials in public. This will be on television. People can see it and watch the hearing and listen to the process.
Right.
And then they will say, the Senate will say, we want to recommend this person for election by the House. And if the House vote and say we want that person becomes the Minister of Health, or the Minister of Education, or the Minister of Environment, or whatever
Which
it
is a minister of the portfolio.
Exactly. Somebody who understands and is trained and equipped and qualified to lead.
We were speaking about ministers being selected. So what are the methods that the UIC will be using to select the ministers?
Sure. So what we have in our electoral model, when the president is running for office, he runs with he or she, you can have a she president.
Right.
The person runs with 2 running mates. One is the Treasury Secretary, which will serve as Finance Minister. So that person is already qualified and competent to serve in that area, because you're going to be able to vet them during the electoral process. Okay. And the other person is a General Secretary. This is the person who's going to be responsible for all the other ministers to make sure that they are following their portfolios properly and so on. These 3 persons, the President, Treasury Secretary, and General Secretary, together with the Vice Presidents from the 3 counties, forms the nucleus of the executive branch of government. Together, they nominate persons to serve in ministries. The persons they nominate, they have to be people of high quality in terms of competence, and qualifications, and experience. And the reason they must do that is when they nominate them, they're hoping that the Senate will approve their nomination. So they can't just bring any willy-nilly person. They have to bring people of caliber. Now the good thing is, this can be a Jamaican from anywhere in the world. You don't have to be living in Jamaica when they nominate you. Of course, when you come to Jamaica now to serve, you have to come and serve, live here. But we want to find the best Jamaican for every portfolio, whether they're here or any other country.
The most competent.
The most competent. When the executive branch nominate this person, the Senate now vets them publicly in the entire, on television and everything. You can go to the parliament and look and see what's going on and listen to the conversation, watch the conversation, and see, is this person really good for this position? So you, the public, will have an opinion to it, because you're following it and saying, oh, I like that one day. But it doesn't end there. After the Senate then says, we agree that this person should serve, they can't approve them. They can only recommend them to the House of Representatives, where you have all the other representatives that are coming from all the communities.
Wow.
And then this body, they can now vote yes or no. They don't have a debate.
Okay.
They vote yes or no to approve what the Senate puts forward. Now, when that person is elected now by the House to serve, let's say Minister of Health, they serve for as long as the House and the Senate do not vote to remove them.
Okay.
So they're not, like right now when one party win or the other one, you lose everybody.
Switch, yeah.
No, if you're a good minister,
you remain a good
minister until, let's say the executive comes back and say to you, we would like to remove this minister.
Right.
The executive, right now the prime minister can remove anybody he wants.
Yes.
He's a dictator.
Right.
By design, the system.
Yeah.
The system
when you look
gives
at it,
him
yes,
that power.
it is. Yeah.
Under the UIC system, he cannot do that.
Right.
He can simply come back to the House, to the Senate, and say, I would like to remove that person, and here are my reasons.
Right.
And the Senate will then look at those reasons and discuss them and make a recommendation to the House.
Right.
The recommendation might be, no, we think the person should stay, or yes, we agree with the president, the person should be removed.
Right.
And the House can say, no, we don't think so. Or, yes, we agree.
Okay.
So now you have checks and balances,
yeah,
which we don't have in Jamaica today.
True.
Now you have the all-powerful Prime Minister's office that can do as it pleases, whether the Jamaican people want it or not. So once we have an election, we elect a dictator for 5 years. Jamaica doesn't want that. Jamaica wants a system that is good in terms of checks and balances and which reflects the desires and aspirations of the Jamaican people.
Okay. Amazing answer, which is you just embodied every single thing.
Yes.
We keep speaking about the government, and one of the things we talked about is corruption and the people's purses and the bad roads and all that. So the question I would like to ask now is, what is the difference between the taxation system that is now current in our system versus the one that the UIC will bring forth to the people? Is there a difference?
Beautiful, yes. A very big difference. The UIC's tax system is designed to be fair.
Right.
It is designed to be simple. It is designed to fund good governance, not bad governance. The current system you have is designed not to be fair. It is designed to be complicated.
Right.
And it is designed to cover the cost of bad governance. What do I mean by that? Right now, Jamaica has about $750 million in corruption costs every year. Corruption costs us $750 million approximately every single year. That's a lot of money, right? You can do a lot of good. We also waste more than 4 times that amount every year. Why do I say waste? Because we have many unnecessary government departments and boards and committees where they hire political activists and supporters and give them free money.
Right.
So they create new offices. We're paying light bill and water and air condition and paper and staff labor for nothing. Simply positions created to support the political machinery. Now the UIC has built a better system. First, we're going to shrink the government and get rid of all of the waste.
All the unnecessaries.
Yes.
Right.
We're also getting rid of all of the corruption by creating a proper system of checks and balances, further reducing the cost of government.
Right.
And then we put in a very simple tax measure that's fair. You pay 10% of your income from all sources to the government.
Right.
Say if you earn $1,000, you give the government 100 and you keep 900. If you make $100,000, you give the government 10,000 and you keep 900,000. You earn $1 million, you give the government 100,000 and you keep 900,000. You understand? Now, what this means is every Jamaican will know how to calculate their taxes with ease. Every Jamaican, by the way, should pay taxes. We do not believe in a system where you tell some members of society that they're not paying any taxes. That's wrong. All of us want good roads. All of us want good police.
Right.
All of us want good justice. All of us want a great well-managed, well-maintained Jamaica. So all of us must pay for it.
Right.
So that 10% now will give us the safe, the clean, the orderly country that we need to grow and survive and do well in.
Okay.
Then we have another tax called the GCT. Right now it's 15%. We're going to reduce that to 10%. And we're going to dedicate that 10% exclusively to stop having poverty.
Okay.
So we're going to help every single person who is poor to get out of poverty. We don't want poverty in this country. You must only be poor if you're lazy, not because of the system.
Right.
So if you're lazy, go and go be poor.
So that should be the standard.
Yes,
then.
that's the standard.
Right.
Only a lazy person should be poor.
Right.
If you want to work, we're going to find work for you.
Okay.
If you want to earn, we're going to give you an opportunity to earn, and we're going to make sure that every child gets the nutrition that they need, gets the education that they need, gets the housing that they need, and gets the health care that they need. Because if we invest in our human capital and make sure our young people are smart, well educated, they
Right.
understand math and science and physics and chemistry and biology, they understand technology, and most importantly, they understand themselves, they can build strong relationships, and they understand how money works. If we can invest in our human capital and bring that standard up, then you're going to have a very productive Jamaica.
Very.
Our economy will shoot through the roof. So that's why we're taking the 10% GCT and dedicate it to just getting rid of poverty.
Right.
We're not going to play games with it. We're going from the tax straight to the need. We're not going to have a whole heap of programs and a whole heap of different ministries paying a whole heap of salary. It's coming, the tax goes here, the child is there, goes to the child.
Right.
So no whole heap
All
of
of bureaucracy, red tape, none of that. All over the place.
It's going to go straight to the child.
Right.
If you're born in this country, you're going to get a good education, whether your parents rich or poor. But your parents now will be asked to take responsibility. So here's what's going to happen. The parents who are earning much, they will pay a certain amount of their salary
Right.
for their children. So let's say the cost of your education is $100,000 per year.
Right.
The parent who is rich enough will pay 100%. The parent who is half as rich will pay 50%. And the parent who's a quarter as rich will pay 25%. And the parent who's on zero, you're not making any money, your child will not be left behind. They're going to get the same high quality education. But we're going to require that you work. So we, the government, will give you a job. And you must work.
Okay.
You must work to help pay for your child.
Okay.
So there will be no mother or father sitting down at home doing nothing while their children is being paid for by taxpayers.
Right.
You must be a part of the productive sector. And if you tell us you can't find work, we'll give you work. It might be sweeping the street. It might be planting on a farm. It might be helping with forestry management. It might be working in a children's home. It might be volunteering in a charity. But you must work and produce and be a part of the system to create the country that you want to be.
Amazing.
So nothing will be called free.
Right.
We won't be talking about free education or free healthcare. We'll be talking about protecting the rights of children to education, to healthcare, and the responsibilities of parents to help pay for that.
Amazing, man. I'm speechless because, like I said, a lot of these ideas that you're pointing out, and not even say ideas, but the vision, as you would state, it's also a thought process that was here. And I'm always asking myself these questions. Why are these things just easily seen?
Yes.
You hit, this is a twofold question though. All right, you just pointed out in regards to the 10%. And then you're speaking about the government providing for. So from me listening to that, there'll be a lot of private, not public, but the government steps in when you're unable to deal with the private, right? And the other question, so the question is...
Let's do the first question.
The first question is, the first question, is it private,
or
public?
Is it public?
Yeah,
or what?
how can you, I want you to explain that.
Excellent. The UIC understands the role of government.
Right.
Many people don't. Let me explain the role of government. The purpose of government is to protect the life, the liberty, and the property of every citizen equally.
Right.
That's the role of government. And to provide an environment a safe environment for you to go about your private life. Now, there are two types of products in society. There are public products, we call them public goods and services.
Right.
And then there are private products, private goods and services. An example of a public good is a road that all of us walk by.
Right.
Because all of us use it, you can't make it a private road. Because you don't want any one person to own the road, and any one person, you can't walk on it, or you can't drive. So it's a public road. So that's a public good, which the government has to take care of.
Right.
A private good, on the other hand, is your food. You have the responsibility to earn and buy and eat your food. Right? Then there's a unique situation, a child, which is in the middle. They can't work and earn and do anything for themselves. Right. So a child cannot provide for their private needs. The parent must do that.
Right.
So if the parent is failing, the government steps in.
Right. Okay.
Because we can't afford, because of a failing parent, for a child to go hungry, or like I did as a child,
right. Yes,
or for a child to be abused,
right.
or for a child to grow up without proper education to be able to be a good and effective adult.
Right.
So what we do then is we collect the 10% income tax to provide for what government should really do.
Right.
Then we dedicate the other 10% GCT now to fix the inequities that is built in by many years of failure. Failures from slavery to failure of governance today. Right. So because of those, we have to find a bridge to bring the poor people out of poverty. You see, our current government, they like to keep the people poor. We don't want that. Right. So we're going to make a bridge to take you out of poverty completely. Right. And that begins with education, healthcare, housing, right? And nutrition, proper nutrition. And so here's the unique part now. The government won't be running the schools.
Right.
These will be all private schools. Right. And you, the parent, rich or poor, select which school you want to send your child to. But they're all private schools, which is very different. Why do I want private schools? Public schools allow for mass indoctrination of our children. True. It allows the powers that be to control your government and control your learning and control your mentality. So we want to separate that. We want to separate the powers that be from controlling the minds of our people by making sure that we can have all private schools. So let's say some smart Jamaicans want to build a Christian school. They can build that. Right. And it will not be, they won't be competing with government because now the entire market will be open to them. And whoever wants to send their child to a Christian school can do so. Right. You might have an athletic school, a sports school. And the parents who want to send their children to a sports school. Okay. You might have a very academic school where it's top academics and they focus on the sciences or technology. You want a competition of ideas, all kind of variety. True. Offering different alternatives for people. And then you, the parent, now are empowered because where you choose is where your money goes.
That's true. Because you're paying for it.
So you choose. Right. And the government now just makes sure that the money for the poor child goes to the school that the parents choose. Right. And the child gets the education that they and their parents, so that's what they want for their children. Amazing. Yeah. And so now we're going to have a really rich society, not a monolithic one, where we all do GSAT and we all do the same thing and we all learn the same. If it's foolishness, we all learn the same foolishness. Right. If it's being brainwashing, we're all brainwashed together. No. We want to have the Rastafarian school, the Jewish school, the Christian school, the science school, the athletic school, the artistic school, whatever. And now we have a rich society, a mosaic, whole heap of ideas, whole heap of thinking. And now you're going to see us inventing things because our minds will be exploding with opportunities. Now we're inventing, we're creating, we're not just consuming. We are now the creators. So now you hear the latest phone coming out of Jamaica, the new design for a car coming out of Jamaica.
Always wondering.
The new technologies for biomechanics coming out of Jamaica. All these things can come from us if we just take the burden of government suppressing our minds, suppressing our creativity, suppressing our productivity. Just lift all of this off the people, free up the nation, liberate the people, and you're going to have a vibrant, creative, industrious, magnificent Jamaica that is pretty, that is clean, that is orderly, that is safe. My gosh, why have we waited so long to not do this?
No, it's just the mere fact that you're speaking about that. If we're so creative already, and being condemned, crushed, pressure, all of that, can you imagine when you do get the opportunity to do what?
We would have had many more Bob Marleys, many more Usain Bolts.
Yes.
And not just that.
Just to name a few.
And the thing is, we have narrowed our people to the areas where they can kind of eke out a creative sustenance. But if we open it all up, then you'll see the mathematical genius, the engineering genius, the aeronautical genius, the communication genius, the programming genius. It's only because of the system we have now why you have so few great inventions coming out of Jamaica. Notice when we go abroad how we do well.
Thank you.
You take any Jamaican out of this mess
successful
and you put them in a system where it's more free and where there are more opportunities, and it just boom, blossom. I left here in 1994 and went to Canada. And I can tell you this, it is because I was in Canada where there was many more opportunities why I exploded as much as I did. If I was here, I would still do well enough because I'm aggressive and I will work hard. But I would be suppressed more than I was in Canada.
It is frustrating.
It's very suppressing.
Because I'm one of those individuals who's very outgoing, very entrepreneurial, and I'm just like you're trying, and no matter how much you're trying to break through that
they're
bubble,
always pulling you back,
figuring something how to take it away from you. It's crazy.
Always.
All right. The second part of the question is, and I've asked you so many questions.
That's
and
fine.
I have so
Keep
much
it
more
coming.
to ask. But
I love answering questions.
I'm going to ask you 2 more questions and allow if anyone else want to ask your questions to come in. So the second part of the question is the 10% sufficient?
Good question. It is more than sufficient. You see, we have been tricked into thinking that we need to pay custom duty, we need to pay income tax, NIS, education, HART, GCT, property tax, land transfer.
We need to speak about that.
There are so many taxes on the poor people. If you ever had up all of those taxes, you're spending more than 50% of your income in taxes. Just imagine a UIC government where you're getting 90% of your income to spend. Now listen, when you get to spend your own money, that is true democracy. You know why? Because your money is what you vote with. When you buy this, you're saying, that's what I want. And guess what? You get exactly what you vote for. While in the current system they call democracy, you don't get what you vote for. You get 30% of the people voting for one party, and the party that wins with only 30%, them get what they want. But we don't want that. We want where you get your money and you vote for what you want. When a person goes to a store and they say a pants and say, I want that pants, that's a vote. And if a lot of people go and buy that pants, the store get the message. We need to order more than pants here because people want this pants. That other one over there, so nobody now buy it. That's a vote. That's saying they're voting against that pants. And so, you see, a market economy works that way. Because a market economy allows you, the citizen, to vote for what you want. I'll give you something else. You see this thing they call duty at the border? All duties do is to eliminate access to technology and development for Jamaicans. Because remember, you cannot buy, if you're a manufacturer here, an ordinary manufacturer, no special treatment from the government, no special treatment, and you buy a piece of machinery, let's say the machinery costs $10,000 in the US, to the US manufacturer, $10,000. But when it comes to our border, you must pay a $15,000 US fee. How are you going to compete?
Thank you.
You can't compete because you're already paying 50% more for the cost of that technology than the other man. So you can't then make something here and send to film country to sell because you're already 50% more costly than him. So we have to remove duties from technology so Jamaicans can access the technology and use it to create. And property tax is a theft because what you have done, you're saying, I buy the shoes and I pay tax when I buy the shoes. And for as long as I have the shoes, I must pay tax on it again.
I was about to ask you about
that. That's theft. You must pay tax one time and then you own it. Because if you keep paying property tax, Or when you're getting older and your income is dropping, because the older you get, the more your income starts to decline, right? So your income is declining, your age is going up, you're getting tired of frustrations, but you have to pay property tax.
So eventually you can still lose a property that you bought so many
years ago.
You
will lose the property.
Yeah, you will.
You know, you're either forced to sell it, or you don't pay the tax and you don't start fretting. It might even give you a heart attack. You're dead quick. Or you leave that burden on your children now. When they come and get the property, they hear say, there's this back tax that was not paid and they have to find the money for it. The UIC will eliminate property tax.
Right. As you said that, that happened to me, because I remember when my grandfather died, there was a piece of land that was there, and they said to me, okay, you are gonna have power of attorney over the land. And when I looked at it, it was so many years of back taxes, and I'm like, what?
Exactly.
So I know nothing about it, but I'm spending like nearly $100,000 just to clear all of that.
Yeah, and guess what happened? If you know the right person, you can go and get that written off. That's the kind of Jamaica we're having now.
Colonialism.
Just the other day, several companies in Jamaica got their tax liabilities written off.
Because of links.
Yes. Now, another person in Jamaica who has a similar situation, who couldn't pay their taxes,
pressure.
If they don't have the right connections, then they have to suffer the consequences. We want to get rid of that Jamaica. That Jamaica, which treats some people different from others, we want to get rid of that Jamaica, where all Jamaicans face the same law, and guess what? A simpler law, a kinder law, a gentler law, and a law which actually protects them and empowers them.
That you are touching the points where I know that even to speak on about the law, these are some of the questions, like I said, we have to answer in our other interviews, other segments, because these are larger questions, or more potent questions where I think persons need to understand, especially about the law. And you hit the nail on the head with prosperity, protection, and your property. So some of these things they need to really understand. I don't think this one...
No, we won't get it all done in one interview.
No way.
It's
so I'm just basically asking the little introductory questions, but we're going to have a lot of time to talk because we're going to do more interviews.
I heard you had some people around here who want to ask some questions.
Come on. So the gentleman is coming to answer the question, ask a question. Okay. So I have one last question.
Sure.
This is the first step. This is the first episode of UIC Destination.
Okay.
So the question now is, as you being the individual who birthed UIC, what is the destination? What is the final outlook you'd like to see UIC achieve for its people?
Oh gosh, I wish I could sum it up in one word. The destination of the UIC is a Jamaica that is non-partisan, a Jamaica that is truly free, where when you're born here, you know that you're a truly free man or woman.
Right.
A Jamaica where freedom actually means something. Right. It means that when you earn, that money is yours. It means that when you create, that creation is yours. Right. It means that you're not afraid of your government anymore. The government works for you. True. It means that if you're a child born in this country, you're the luckiest child in the world, because this country is designed to serve you. It's designed to build you up. It's designed to protect your rights. It's designed to bring out the best in you. Right. So we're going to change history. There was a thought that America was the land of the brave
and the free.
And it was a land of opportunity.
Right.
And all of that. Well, Jamaica is going to become that land.
Right.
People around the world are going to be banging on our... We're going to have to require a visa for you to come to Jamaica.
Can't wait
because
for that.
People are going to want to come here. Jamaica is going to be the freest country in the world. It's going to be the safest country in the world. Right. It's going to be the cleanest country in the world. Right. It's going to be the most prosperous. When I say prosperity, I'm not talking about fake prosperity. It's not just money. When you can wake up to an environment that's clean and safe and fresh.
Right.
When you can wake up to a country where you're truly free. Like whatever you choose to do with you, you can do it as long as you're not infringing on another person's life or another person's freedom or another person's property. Right. So you're not infringing on them, but you truly own you. You're the full owner of yourself. You're sovereign. There's no one greater than you. There's no prime minister or president or king or queen or master that's greater than you. You are as good as any other man. You are as privileged as any other Jamaican. The Prime Minister has no greater privilege than you or the President. He is just another human being.
Thank you.
His job, her job, is to serve you because you've hired him to do that.
Right.
So, the destination is a Jamaica like no other country on earth, where everybody wants to live.
Trust me.
Can you imagine?
Of course. I was just about to say that this is, I vision it. I mean,
tropical country.
This is,
I mean, we
have everything.
We have everything here.
Yeah,
and guess what now? That's why we have to stop this bauxite mining. Jamaica should never be involved in mining because we have a small land area.
Thank you.
We want to preserve every inch of it.
Mm.
We should not have urban sprawl where we're just spreading out on our farmlands and building houses. We need to be more clinical, more careful, more deliberate in our planning so that we preserve the maximum amount of our land to give us food security, water
that's
security,
what's happening right now.
energy security, and the green space to enjoy life to the max. Listen to me, Marlon. We cannot afford to continue on the path that we have been led. We have to stop it. We have to cut it. We have to get rid of it and start a new Jamaica, a real new Jamaica, not a fake new, a real one where for us, development doesn't mean tearing up our land.
Right.
Development means embracing our natural heritage and working with it. It's like permaculture. If you ever heard of permaculture, it is where you find balance between the earth and the ecosystem and the human existence. The two don't fight against each other. We coexist with each other so that we benefit from the earth and the earth benefits from us. So the UIC is going to look at much better management of our ecology and connecting mankind with the rest of nature, not as its enemy, but as its friend.
And as that point is placed here, we should understand, and they should understand, we should understand, the people should understand that this is done collectively by us.
Of course, we the people.
We are here showing you the destination, showing you the road to travel along the destination, but you need to understand that there's a us. And right now there's a gentleman who wants to ask you a question. So I'm going to remove myself from the chair for a second and allow him to come and ask that question.
I'd love to hear that.
So I'm going to take a little break.
Thank you. Yes.
All right. So I just want to ask you, based on the crisis that Jamaica is actually facing now, the corona pandemic, what are some of the plans you would have in place to address the situation?
Absolutely. No, that's a very good question. You don't know this, but when the pandemic first came upon Jamaica, I advised the Prime Minister to take some very clear steps. I tell him, number one, call together all the leaders of the political parties and form a commission or a council of all the parties. And the reason for this is you want to remove politics from dealing with a crisis. Inform us all, make sure we know what the details are, what are the issues, what are the challenges, what is the science behind it that you're hearing from your international counterparts. And as a council, with you as Prime Minister leading the council, but having the leader of the other party, the leader of the UIC as well, and we can all dialogue now and put our collective wisdom together. With you as the leader leading this, I also said to him, let's make sure that we do not politicize any distribution to the communities. So don't allow any political party representative to go in like an MP or whatever, or councillor to distribute anything. Let's allow the relevant ministries and the police and the army to go and do the distribution after we have put together a proper package that we think is needed for the community. Secondly, I told him that we should not lock down the country. What we should do instead is educate the nation continuously on what are the risks, what are the challenges, and how to protect yourself. So that would include, for example, wearing a mask if that is what is necessary, face guard if that's what's necessary, washing your hands, gloves if necessary, but educate the people on how to protect themselves and say, but still go about working. Why? Because I knew that it would lead to food shortages and rise in prices, because once the food production goes down, the quantity will not be there to meet the demand, and that will push prices up, which is what we're seeing now happening. So I told him, Don't allow this to become a political thing or an ego thing. Let's focus on what's good for Jamaica. Jamaica cannot afford to feed everybody, like, to say lock down the country and we have money to do like what other nations did. We don't have that because we've wasted all of that money. We've wasted our opportunities. So let's instead focus on keeping the economy open but well managed with education. So daily on the radio and TV, you would hear updates, not updates about so much how many persons have contracted, but updates on what we now know about this pandemic and how you can best protect yourself. I also don't want us to do any mandatory, you must do this, but rather let's work together. Here's what you can do to help yourself. Here's what you can do to protect your family. Here's what you can do to protect your fellow men. And get everybody behind this as opposed to becoming a dictator, telling people what to do, because that's very, very, very disastrous. Secondarily, Jamaica's economy has been largely based on tourism and remittances from abroad. I wanted the Prime Minister to use the funds from the political campaigns and say, let's not have the regular political campaigning. Let's take all of that money and give it to the micro and small businesses so that they can survive this pandemic. He disagreed. And so they wasted billions of dollars on the election. I said, don't do that. Let's just have some town hall meetings on Zoom, for example, televise them, put them on YouTube and everything so that people can see us and hear what we're about, and then let them vote electronically. Okay? So we don't have to go there and do all the stuff, right? And would have saved all that money and direct it into the economy where it's needed, the small man, the micro businesses, let them have the resources they need to survive and combat what we're seeing now. They didn't follow it, and now the country is in very bad shape. We now have the disasters from the flooding, and all that money was wasted, and we now don't have it to respond to the additional crisis that we have today.
Okay, well, Mr. Patterson, let me just commend you and your efforts for actually trying.
Yes.
But the UIC is an abbreviation, right?
Yes.
What does the UIC stands for?
Good. It stands for United Independence Congress. So we chose those words very carefully.
Okay.
United because we want to unite Jamaica.
Okay.
Independence because we want to break away from partisan politics.
Okay.
We want independent minds to come together. And we no longer want a parliament that's colonial. Okay. We want a Congress where we come together and work together for a better Jamaica.
Okay. What really inspired you
to do this?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, the more I look at how we're failing, all my life I've observed the political process, and I see where it serves more to divide us, it distracts us, and it extracts our wealth from us. Okay. And I said, no, we cannot continue this way. We need a system that will unite us, that will empower us, that will bring out the best in all of us. Okay. And that's why we created the UIC.
Okay. Well, this seems like a really good plan.
Thank you.
And I must commend you once more for such efforts.
Yes, sir.
And I wish you all the best going forward.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're from Maypen here?
I am from.
What's your name?
My name is Rani King.
Rani King?
Right.
Oh, so you're a king?
Yes, I am.
Good. Well, thank you for having us over, and we appreciate it. And we really hope that we get a chance to transform not just Maypen and not just Clarendon, but all 14 parishes.
Well, wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we haven't told the audience that this is Liberty TV, did we?
Yes. No, we haven't.
Right.
No, we haven't.
And where to find us? UICJamaica.com?
Yes, UICJamaica.com. And just to note, you have Liberty TV every Friday at 8 a.m.
Every Friday at 8 a.m.
Right.
And it's building out, because you're going to have your program coming on.
UIC Destination and In the Streets with UIC, where we're going to be in the street speaking to you, the people, and we're going to hear your input, want to know your ideas, what other questions that you need to ask. I mean, right now, I have so many more questions that I need to ask. I'm kind of stuttering. And to hear the gentleman who we just recently met, and he has such a potent question to ask. And I embrace that. I embrace the fact that he took the time out to come here and to ask a question. And this is the reason why, personally, I look up to this man. He doesn't act as if he's better than. He's willing to sit with anyone And I have to admit this, so I'm going to say it right now. I was going to pick a great scenery in a room that we would design to have a great thing. And he was like, no, organic. And I paused. I was shocked. I was shocked about the whole entire thing. I'm like, what do you mean by? And he's like, no, he wants it to be with the people. This is what it's about. It's from the people, for the people, by the people.
Exactly.
And to see what he's saying came to fruition, where we're here speaking, and an individual say, can I ask a question? And without a hesitation, he's like, nope, come on board. I'm glad that I got up. Because it's like I am living the dream. Our people might think because we have an idea and we're looking towards our goal. When you get on board and see what is going on and understand, you will understand what I'm speaking about. And we're going to make sure that all the information is there through this movement, the Destination, Liberty TV. And we're going to be in the streets too with UIC. So look out for all those programs.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it myself.
Yes, and more programs will be coming on board, don't get me wrong. But inclusive of that, just for persons to understand, yes, this is the first episode, but what we're doing though, we're going to be asking more intricate questions, we'd say.
Or in-depth questions.
Or in-depth questions that persons might be asking. And I want you to ask those questions. So anytime when you get on Liberty TV, UIC Destination, UIC Jamaica, put those questions out, because we do read all those questions and we're going to make sure that we can answer them. And we want to answer them in a simplistic form where you can understand.
Absolutely. All my answers are kept simple and straightforward.
Simple, straightforward.
I don't like to make anything complicated because I believe everything we do must be understandable by the people.
Right.
And that is why we're going to break down the monetary system and make a simple system that works for Jamaicans.
Right.
We're going to break down the education system, make sure it works for Jamaican. The healthcare system, make sure it works for Jamaican. The economy, work for Jamaicans. Taxation, work for Jamaicans. It must be simple and explainable and answerable to the needs of Jamaicans.
Great.
Yes.
And like I said, we're definitely going to go in depth in all those questions so persons can have a keen understanding of what's taking place. We don't want to let you live in a loop or a shadow of a doubt or trying to not understand. We're going to be clear, factual, and front and blunt with it. So whoever wants to hide anything out there in any other movement or any other party, it's not going to be happening here.
No.
You're going to get the truth straight to the facts.
Yeah. Transparency, that's what we're about.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you very much.
You want to ask a question, sir? Come. No? All right.
Great.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Anyway,
Okay.
like
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Looking forward. No, we have to do the elbow thing.
Yes, true. The virus.
Thank you
yes.
so much. It's
Yeah, man.
really a pleasure.
Man, thank you, and thank you for
enjoyed it
coming.
thoroughly. All right. Looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, man. We're very much looking forward to it too.
All right.
Until the next time.
Yes.
Peace.
Peace.